Let's have a debate. Is it time to eliminate the corner three-pointer? I say it is. I think it's time to change the game, and I'll tell you why right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, Heat John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you pretty soon for you every day, Monday through Friday. Starting next week, we're back to the Monday through Friday grind next week, even though the season is still a few weeks away. Media Day is still, I think, 3 weeks away now, as opposed to a couple of weeks away, which would normally be, but the World Cup has thrown us all off schedule. But I'm here for you today. I'm here for you on Friday, and then Monday through Friday next week. So you better subscribe so you can get this show dropped directly to your device, or you can watch the show on YouTube. Hop into the comments section. I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I'm here covering the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And today we're having a little bit of a conversation, a piece I wrote for Boston Sports Journal, saying it's time to eliminate the corner three. We brought up the subject before here. I think it's time to change the game. And I figured this would be a great time to bring noted shooter Tom Westerholm in to discuss changing the game. First, today's show is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself with when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. Tom, you are a shooter.
I am, and I'm happy to be on the Locked On Celtics podcast to discuss making it illegal to play back to the basketball.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, right? This is an insult. Continue with your case.
This is an insult, huh? The corner three-pointer is throwing the entire game off. And I think shooting is still valuable. Obviously, you got to be able to hit from all places on the floor. I'm not eliminating the three-pointer. I just want it to be 23 feet, 9 inches, and instead of 22 feet. If you're going to have a line and say, hey, this is a special line. If you shoot shots and hit shots from behind this line, we give you 50% more points. That is so powerful that it has transformed this game in I want to say countless ways, but a number of ways, significant number of ways. If you're going to create a scenario where there's this special line for all these extra points, why are you cheapening it with this 22-foot line when the NBA in the 90s said, hey, let's just make the whole thing 22 feet. And the shooting was so ridiculous that they were like, whoa. Nope, can't do that. Let's go back to the 23-9. So if they admit 22 feet is ridiculous to have people like shooting the three-pointer, why did you keep it on the corners? I say keep it 23-9. I'm not trying to move it back. I'm not trying to change anything other than it's just 23-9. So what your initial reaction to that thought?
So my initial reaction is kind of, I would say it's kind of related. So one of the things that I see people complaining sometimes about, the NBA game and it's so pick and roll heavy and all this stuff. And I don't agree with any of those takes. I think I love the way the game plays right now. I think there's this really comfortable, interesting flow to it where you can kind of predict how things are going to look on most possessions, right? Mm-hmm. For a lot of teams, you can kind of see, there's a there's a certain like a current to every NBA offense that just kind of runs, and I think it's very pleasant to watch, and the current is different with different teams, right? You get like a team like the Nuggets, and you've got like, a big man, and things are kind of circling all around him, and it's like he's the big tree in the middle of this river, just kind of letting the eddies run around him and everything. You got other teams where there's a real talented guard who's running pick and rolls, and often those guys are shooting threes, and warping defenses that way. The Celtics have their own thing. And so we've talked about the case to eliminate eliminate the corner three before, and I did think it was pretty smart. So I want you to continue with my caveat that I like the way the NBA game looks right now, and I kind of think it should continue.
So, okay, I like the way it looks. I do, acknowledge that as it's currently constituted, it's not so bad. The problem is the trend and where the line is going. And I think Joe Mazzulla is kind of at the forefront of this, because I remember him looking me directly in the face and saying 3-point attempt rate is the most important stat in the NBA. And I'm like, that says a lot for Joe, regardless of how much time he had to set up and when he got thrown into the thing. He still believes the 3-point attempt rate is the most important stat in the league. So 19.6% of all NBA jump shots are corner 3-pointers. So you think about where all the jump shots can go. Almost 20% of all of those are corner 3-pointers, and 10% of all shots overall are corner 3-pointers. Everything is so geared towards the corner 3 that the points per possession for a good corner 3-point shooter versus the average layup attempt, it's 1.5 or better points per possession on like the top 3-point shooters in the corner. The average NBA layup is 1.17 points per possession. So it's not even close. This is why we're seeing so many more players passing out of layups, because as soon as you feel like there might be a contest, all these players are being taught now, Tom, contested layups are worse shots than open corner 3-pointers. So if you're going up for a layup and you're being contested, kick it to the corner. And I just stylistically, just one of my main arguments is stylistically, I cannot accept an NBA where you're being coached to pass out of layup attempts, because guys are sitting there they're going up and they're wide open, and they just kind of get a glimmer of somebody coming at them, and it's like, oh nope, got to get it to the corner. And that to me, I've seen it happen more often, and we just cannot live in a world where passing out of a layup is a smart move.
Why not? I guess would be my only question to that. Like,
because layups lead to fouls, lead to easy points. Like you're not just passing to a guy it's like, oh, let me see style. Like aesthetically speaking, watching guys watching a game where it's like 50 or 63 pointers, because we're going to get to 63 pointers. Like, I don't know how many times that's ever happened, but that's going to become like the norm, right?
I don't know about the norm, but
more common.
We'll see it. We'll see
more
it.
common. Yeah. We'll see it. We'll see it happen. And it won't be like, oh God, it'll be like, oh, this is a 63 pointer game. If you're going up for a layup and it's lightly contested, like you got to be able to finish through the contact. Being able to get to the rim, finish, draw the foul, get the 3 points from the free throw line, get that team closer to the bonus, and I just feel like that is a better brand of basketball than getting to the rim, getting like within the restricted area, and at the the slightest hint of someone coming over, you just got to get it out to a 22-foot shot. It just doesn't make sense to me. I know the math is there, but I think the math is throwing everything out of whack. I know you got a response. I'll let you have your response in just a second. First, today's show is brought to you by Jase Medical. Jase Medical provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. We've all been in a position, I've been in a position with myself or with my wife where it's just been something simple. All of a sudden it's like, wow, that does not look good. Instead of being in a position where I'm in a spot where it's a Sunday or a weekend and it's I can't get to my doctor, I got to try to find a walk-in clinic. I can go into a Jase case and get one of these antibiotics that can help me kind of get things under control while I'm waiting for my doctor, the person that I see all the time, while that person can see me and can treat me. So you can get ongoing care from their physicians on any treatment-related questions. It's doctor-created, it's doctor-recommended. Don't get caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. And Jase handles everything from online evaluations to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. This is we've got storms going crazy. We just watched in New England just flooding and all of that stuff. You don't know when you're going to get caught in a spot where maybe you can't even get out of the house and you need to treat somebody. Maybe something happened and your power goes out and you need to have something. You get cut and you're stuck and you got nowhere to go. Something like this should be part of your emergency plan. And the Jase Medical is simple. You go online, you fill out a form, you get the prescription, life-saving medications get right to your door. It's peace of mind. You can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with the Jase Medical plus an additional $20 off by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. That's JASEmedical.com. All right. So go to jasemedical.com. You can save more than $360. Use the code LOCKEDON. You get an additional $20 off. It's peace of mind. It's something that you should have as part of your emergency preparedness. Thank you so much for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Head on over to Locked On NBA. I got Locked On NBA coming up. I'm recording that after I'm done with Tom Westerholm here. So we'll have much more on the league. We've got a ton of stuff coming up on the show, including Damian Lillard stuff, Draymond Green talking about 2 more championships for the Warriors. And we'll have my thoughts on that there. So, but Tom Westerholm has thoughts on my initial case for eliminating the corner three-pointer. All right, Tom, what were you going to say before I cut you off?
Well, when we went to break, you were talking about how, layups and people passing up. I mean, you said lightly contested. I think a lot of people would still go for a lightly contested layup. I think there may be a bit of a trend developing in that, lighter and lighter contests are getting kicked to the corner. And if that's your concern, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying.
I don't have a stat that I can point to.
Yeah.
I just know that being there and watching games, and granted, it's
you watch a lot of hoops. I watch a lot of hoops. Like I know what you mean. Yeah,
seeing it.
Yeah, for sure. The eye test as the pure marker of basketball know-how. I think the thing I would say is, for one thing, I do think that there's going to be a lot of guys who will still try to finish, right? I think there's a lot of guards who are, aggressive going to the rim. Ja Morant, I think, is still going to try to finish a lot.
Sure. There are those guys, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you could, you go through a lot of the stars, right? Like, I think, Donovan Mitchell, you go through a lot of guys. I think there are a lot of guys who, when they get to the hoop, will try to finish. And that, kind of mitigates the problem, if there is one there, a little bit. I also think, hey, that past the corner, that is another important skill to have. That's another thing that's kind of interesting to watch sometimes, to me anyway. I do think one of the things that we saw with Tatum, right, in his development was his ability to attract defenders and then spray it out was really critical for his development. It was an interesting thing to watch aesthetically, to just kind of see how that little skill, that important, but like that singular skill affected so much of the rest of his game. And I think, as we watch players develop, as we watch players get better, as we watch, kind of players evolve within the NBA game, there is something kind of cool to seeing them be able to kick the ball out, be able to kind of read the defense, all kind of coming together, figure out what the right pass is, and I guess what I'm saying is, like, I don't necessarily agree with the aesthetic argument. I do think that, like, there's a lot to be said for that pass, and then I mean, look at their best, right? The Celtics this year. At this past season, at their absolute best, that kick to the corner a lot of times was then a kick above the break, which was then a kick, that nice wheel of ball movement. That's also very aesthetically pleasing. Like, I thought that was, some of the best Celtics basketball we've watched over the last couple of years. So, yeah, I guess from an aesthetic argument, I guess I kind of challenge that a little bit. That the corner three is a huge problem as like a viewership opportunity.
So I guess, and obviously when you're making this argument, some people are going to just say, no, the game's fine. It's fine. And
yeah. That's more or less my argument. Yeah.
and I am not disagreeing with the game being fine right now. Although I do think it's a little homogenous. I do think every team is trying to accomplish the same goal. Certain teams are doing it better than others. And like a team like Memphis with not as much shooting is going to have to rely on other ways. Like they're the kings of the floaters. And so like they do have a different style of basketball, but by and large, the style of NBA style basketball is smaller lineups, smaller players in general, more of the 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys, as many of those guys as you can find on the floor. Put them all out there. They all have to shoot, and it's just how many of those guys can you put on the floor at the same time and spread it out? Just spread everything out, and somebody attacks. And if you collapse, it's a kick. If they don't collapse, it's maybe a layup attempt. And it's the same. It's just the same. And I feel like the value of this corner three is so high. First of all, that it's just out of whack. There's no reason for that one particular shot, a 22-foot shot, to be that much more valuable than everything else. It's if you're above the break and you take a step in and you shoot 23 feet 4 inches away, it's a 2-pointer, and it's everybody yells at you for it. Why did you step in? But all of a sudden you're on the sidelines as a 22-footer. Like, yeah, of course you're going to take that, and that gives you that extra point. The value of that and getting those guys that can do that is so high that I just feel like the league is trending towards throwing so much of the other stuff away that they're just going to keep chasing that 1.5 points per play. And everything is going to be so geared towards that corner three that it is going to start, the aesthetics of it is going to start changing, right? I just feel like if you make the 3-pointer an actual special play that not as many guys can hit, like the initial point of the 3-pointer was, here's a special thing, and it's a special player who can do this. That is fine for me. I like that idea. But cheapening it to a point where it's 22 feet, PJ Tucker is 38 years old and making $11 million a year because he can defend, and also he makes that shot, at 40%. He doesn't do anything else offensively. Does zero else offensively. He just hits that one shot, but it's so powerful that it keeps PJ Tucker in the league. It's nothing personal against PJ Tucker, but like
I was going to say, I hate to hear a man of your age being ageist. We hate to hear this.
I just want to see like a little bit more dynamic play. I want to see some more skill involved. I want to see a little bit more thinking involved. Like, I want teams to be able to be creative inside that zone. Like, okay, within 23 feet 9 inches, it's all worth 2 points. So let's figure out how can we make this work? And like, there's no thinking involved. There's just no thinking involved. I know it's kind of smacks of old man yells at cloud, but but everybody does the same thing, Tom. There's no thinking. It's just put a bunch of shooters out there and drive, and either they collapse and you kick, or they don't collapse and you score. Like what? So that doesn't do anything for me. It just boils down to this. We're already kind of there, but it's going to get worse. NBA wins and losses are simply going to come down to who hits more three-pointers and who shoots better. Are you hot that night? Great. You win. Are you not hot that night? You lose. There's no kind of thinking and strategy to be like, we weren't hot. Like, we have to cobble together. We have to figure out a way to win. I don't want it to just come down to, well, they shot better than us from three and they won, and nothing else. The rebounding, the assists, the none of that other stuff. I can't let the NBA get to a point where that's the only thing that matters. All right, we'll pick up the conversation about the corner three-pointers in just a second here. But first, today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel.com is America's #1 sports book. It's our favorite sports book here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And the NFL is here. NFL is back with a lot of things have changed with the Aaron Rodgers injury. We'll see how things go around the league. But now you have a lot of reasons to kind of change some of the things that you're thinking when it comes to the NFL. Right now, if you're new to FanDuel, you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's nice. Plus, everybody who bets $5 gets a $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So now's the time to join FanDuel. The best deals are there. You bet $5, you can get $200 in bonus bets, and you can get Sunday ticket at $100 off. Not bad. You can bet on everything from spreads, player props, and more. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. You got to go there to get the deal. Kick off the NFL season in style. It's an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. Just ask you to please gamble responsibly.
I think that is an extremely fair criticism. I'm not sure that eliminating the corner three would eliminate that problem, but I do think it would mitigate it significantly, right? Because of everything you said about getting hot, of just how much more valuable that shot is. I do think it mitigates that problem. Stylistically, but before we continue on that, because I think we should continue on that. One question I do have is, wouldn't eliminating, I haven't written a big piece on Boston Sports Journal about this, so I haven't given this as much thought as you, but wouldn't eliminating the corner threes just create zones where nobody would go? Like, why would anybody go to the corners ever unless it was like a long rebound, if those shots were eliminated? Because then you're standing in the corner, just like everybody be like, please pass him the ball. He's taking the least efficient shot in basketball if he's shooting from the deep corner, right?
Well, right. You don't stand in the corner. You have to figure out something else. That's kind of the point.
But I feel like
you don't have somebody just standing in the corner.
Sure, but wouldn't that get crowded though? Because there'd just be no reason at all to be there.
We've had decades of NBA basketball where it's crowded and teams have figured out how to score.
Yeah,
teams have scored a lot of points in the past. In fact, they've changed the rules so they can get the scoring back up to what it used to be prior to a lot of the 3-point heavy offense. Like the offense used to be fine. The 86 Celtics scored plenty of points,
well,
and they didn't rely on the corner 3-pointer for spacing. Now it's different. Times change. And I'm certainly not one to stand in the way of progress. Like I don't even care about 53 pointers. Like the current system is what it is. And I'm going to, over the course of this season, berate players who don't drive and kick, or if someone takes a contested layup with an open guy in the corner, I'm going to berate that guy for not kicking it to the corner, because right now that's what you are supposed to do, right? If you are contested at the rim, you got to make the rim read. We talk about rim reads all last season. It was like one of the buzzwords, the buzz phrases of last season. Rim read, rim read, rim read. You got to make those rim reads. And okay, am I being contested? No, you do have to get better at that. But the point is, if you take away that corner 3-pointer and just say, Jaylen Brown, you're a good corner 3-point shooter. You're one of our best players, but because you're one of our best players, we're just going to stick you in the corner and sorry, you're not part of the offense. What do you need to do now? Well, you know what's going to happen, Tom? Back screens, cuts, a lot more off-ball movement, a lot more creativity so guys can, get free and get shots. The mid-range jumper is going to be a little bit more valuable. Jump shots are still going to be valuable, but open shots are going to be valuable because now you're going to have to hit open shots wherever they present themselves. Interior passing is not a thing that we've seen in years. I have not seen a good big-to-big pass since Kevin Garnett, right? Like those things. Now I know I'm a former big guy. I'm an advocate of post play, and this would definitely bring back
watch Rob Williams. Rob is a pretty decent big-to-big passer when he needs to be. I know you were doing hyperbole. Like I've seen Rob make a few pretty decent big-to-big passes.
Right, but it's not
the same.
It's not the same.
Not the same.
It's not the same. And those are art forms. Those are creating a scenario where NBA players and NBA coaches have to get together and get creative to find spots to score. That excites me because those guys are going to be like, all right, we've got to figure something else out to get our easy baskets. It does change the game, and it adds more skill. It actually adds more skill to how you score inside the 3-point line. Yeah. I like that. I like to see how teams figure out the battle inside the 2-point line. Too many games are coming down to, Jaylen Brown made one mistake against James Harden and went to double and now boom, that cost the Celtics a playoff game last summer. And it's just he shouldn't have done all that stuff. But that type of play, that type of shot it's becoming I don't know what's the word I'm trying to find there. It's too important, right? It's outweighing the importance of every other shot. Like every other shot, there are important shots everywhere. But when that one shot's like, oh my God, you're getting that many points out of that one shot, it's just gonna. I can see 2-3 steps down, and offense is just going to be so crazily geared towards that one shot that it just comes down to make or miss. And Doc Rivers, right? It's a make or miss league. And I don't want it to be a make or miss league anymore. I want it to be a, skill league.
So I think if you start with that argument and you start with the argument about if you start with the creativity and the making teams do more than just make more threes than the other team, that's where you get me in on this. Because I think both those things are really important. I will say Celtics fans should be opposing this because I think what you're doing is setting Eric Spoelstra up to help the Miami Heat have the most devastating zone defense of all time because there's just fewer places for people to pick them apart from three. I think Eric Spoelstra would have a field day in this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the ripple effect would have to be no more zone defense. You eliminate zone defenses because you're right. Like if you take away that weapon, then you can't just pack the paint. I think zone defenses were created because the 3-pointer was stretching things out so much. I think that was kind of like the one of the answers. So you can just say, hey, man to man only. And that could fix the problem.
For sure. But I do think that one thing that you're doing here is you're starting to create a scenario. Like if you took this okay, let's say the NBA actually did this, right? I mean, I think you'd be looking at the first year kind of eliminating the quarter three and kind of seeing, okay, what are the ripple effects? What do we do from here? And then you like all of a sudden, then you have to make another rule change the next year. And then who knows what might happen, what other ripple effects there might need to be down the line. Like you could be talking about, 3, 4, 5 years where you have to have like a fairly significant rule change. Like eliminating the corner three is a huge one. Then eliminating zone defense the next year because a team played zone defense and won the championship handily. That's another big change. Like you start to really mess with some things. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like it still could absolutely change the game in a number of really, aesthetically pleasing ways. But these are big changes.
Well, this is why you do it. You started out in like the G League, right? You say,
right, sure.
You started out in the G League. Maybe you started in I don't know if the WNBA would be a great way to go because that game is still already different enough where it wouldn't translate. I think the G League would be where you go. Summer League, you try it out. You start to like figure out how do teams counter that. And then you kind of see from a G League season, they always use the G League for that experimental stuff. They did one free throw thing. They do things like that. So you're right. There will be unintended consequences. But if you started out in like the G League and Summer League and you do it over a year or two, and you start to see how teams adjust, then you can in the NBA start it with maybe 3 of those things already addressed, and then you figure it out from there.
I do think that the worry there, though, is that like when you started off in the G League, you're starting it off with players who, by definition, have not made the NBA yet, and and those are excellent basketball players, right? But you're also starting it off with coaches who have not made the NBA yet, and those are excellent coaches, but they're not NBA coaches, right? So there's like the adjustments that they make, another coach might find a way to exploit it, but you can address those things down the line, I suppose. But I do think that there is like something where it's like, okay, you can try it in the G League and get like a feel for it. But just to keep using him as an example, until Eric Spoelstra gets his hands on like his own film and starts running it, like I think
maybe you just take Spo and you say, here's $500,000.
Take a sabbatical.
Right. Like this summer, we're paying you $500,000. Run this through your brain and run it like a simulation and then figure out all the ways that you can like, and he'd just be like, okay, then you do this. Well, wait a minute. Then I would do this. And like, okay. Write it all down. Like, okay, great. 10 rules changes all based on Spo. Here we go. No, it's true though. It's true. And look, not everybody's going to agree with me, but I do see the problem. The problem, generally speaking, is that I see fans saying the league is just too much. You go to a game and you're just seeing 25-foot shots. You're just seeing 20. It's just nothing but three. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's good. If they go in, everybody goes nuts. If they don't go in, then you're opening yourself up because the 3 is just generally streaky anyway.
Yeah.
You're opening yourself up to the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat, where one team went completely berserk from 3 and one team went completely cold from 3. And it's like, wow, this is
that's parity. That's parity, baby. We finally got it. But I think you're right. And I think about like the fans, and I think the other side of that, right? You get the casual fan who goes to the game and, has a couple beers and starts complaining about like, everybody's just shooting too many threes. And then you got like the smart analytical fan who's watching all the time and says, it's just whoever makes more threes. And it's like, both fans are right. So that is a problem. Like that is something that needs to be thought about.
And it's not going away.
Yeah.
And I just don't want the league to come down to, oh, well, one team shot 39% from 3 and the other team shot 34%. Right. That's it.
you don't want this to be tic-tac-toe. Like, you do not want this to be a solved game, right? Like, that's what's happening. That's one of the things that's happened in baseball. That's made baseball harder to watch for a lot of people. It's like, it's kind of a solved game. It's like, yeah, everybody's swinging for the fences because analytically that's the smart thing to do, but it also leads to a lot of strikeouts. So,
yeah,
and
you don't want that. You just don't want that to become the case.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So to me, make the 3-pointer a special shot and just let Steph Curry do his thing. Let those guys do their thing. But, there are certain, like, just 22 footers. It's just the weight. The weight is too weighted. So I want to change it before it becomes before the league crests and goes down. So,
well, I mean, the easiest, like the answer that the league would never do, but is kind of like the answer, right, would just be to move that court out just a little bit.
I would love to
widen the court a little bit, Now
in.
there's still corner threes, but now they're 20, now they're 23
not taking
feet.
those seats away. So that's
they're never taking those seats away. No.
All right, Tom, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
And I appreciate all you guys tuning in, listening. Again, next week, it's daily, Monday through Friday. This week, I'll be here on Friday, Monday through Friday next week. So subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Should they eliminate the corner three? What repercussions are there? You let me know. Agree, disagree in the comment section on the YouTube page. And if you are a regular listener and every day, I would love if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell your friends, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.